Welcome back to another Silence of Shame. It's your girl Life, and hey, it's another great conversation with another great person from our community, bringing great information and great resources and tools for you to utilize moving forward. I wouldn't be good if I wouldn't give props to the first people who brought this Silence of Shame podcast on, Free and Shanti. Shanti Dodds, who is our founder and owner, and Free, who is the original podcast host. Much love to you guys for providing this platform for individuals to get more information about mental health awareness, supports, and programs. I have a very special guest. Many of you may love them. Many of our supporters may be from Atlanta, or you may be from Arizona. You might even be from South Carolina. But I have one of your own right here in the studio with us, Antonio Hamilton. Welcome, Antonio. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am great. I am great on this rainy day, but it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
It's not cold, so
yeah,
no snow.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll
Yeah.
take it. So, Antonio, tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you started, where you came from. We all know that you are an NFL player, but how did you really get into that life, and how did you get to loving football?
Okay, so first off, I'm from Johnston, South Carolina, a very, very small town.
Okay.
The real peach capital of the world.
Oh, wait 1 second now.
So I know Georgia's a peach state, but Johnston is the actual peach capital of the world.
Okay.
And, well, that's what we're known for, producing a lot of peaches. And like I said, real small town.
Okay.
I went to high school at Strom Thurmond High School, and then I didn't actually start off at South Carolina State. I went to the very, very small NAIA school
Okay.
called the University of Pikeville in Pikeville, Kentucky. And then I transferred into South Carolina State
Okay.
with my older brother. He was the reason why I started playing football. I was
Gotcha.
just a little brother chasing after his big brother,
Of
wanting to
course.
do like him and walk in his footsteps. And he was at the University of Georgia. And then he ended up leaving and going to South Carolina State.
Okay.
And after that, I was at Pikeville during that time. And then I chose that I didn't want to be there anymore. So
Mhm.
they did like a package deal where if my brother came to South Carolina State, they would allow me to come as well.
Oh, so
So
y'all
I
tricked
got-
the system.
Yeah, so I got there, and we got
Alright.
tricked too, though, to
Oh,
a degree,
okay,
to a
alright.
degree, unfortunately. But I got there, and I, not to go too much in depth about it, but I was promised I would be on full scholarship.
Okay.
But that didn't end up happening. But I transferred in with my brother. I had to sit out a year, so I didn't get the opportunity to play a year of ball with him.
Okay.
He went on to the NFL. And then I had to sit out my first year at South Carolina State, and then I was eligible the next season.
Stay right there.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to play with, that was the last year that your brother was there,
Mm-hmm.
and you were supposed to play with him, or you thought that you were going to play with him that last year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have to wait if you're transferring from one, or can you play automatically? You didn't have to redshirt during that time?
Well, the NCAA clearinghouse is different now.
Okay.
So you see how a lot of guys are transferring
Yeah.
around in the portal and stuff like that, and they get to play right away.
Okay.
Well, when I was coming out, back in 2011, 2012,
Okay.
and, before the NCAA clearinghouse, if you transfer from a lower division school to a higher division
Mhm.
school, you had to sit out a year.
Okay.
But if you transfer back down a level,
play.
you could play right away. And that's
Gotcha.
what my brother did. So
Gotcha.
he started off at the FBS level and transferred down to the FCS level.
Gotcha.
And I was in NAIA, which is
You
lower
were,
than
right.
D3.
Yeah.
So, and then I transferred to 3 levels, and so I had to sit out a year
Okay.
because of clearinghouse.
So y'all knew that possibly could happen, that y'all wouldn't play together
Well,
at the time.
No, honestly, I mean, we were pretty much ignorant, to all of it. We didn't quite understand it, and I know I didn't until, the process came about, clearing NCAA clearinghouse, and then we learned through that. It was like, oh, dang, so I won't get to play with you this
What does
year.
that do to you? Like if you're going expecting all of these things to happen, expecting this, and you have people really mentoring you to get to this or to move from one college to the next, nobody really told you the process of what would happen. So when you get there and you find out what's really happening, what does that do to you mentally, or what did that change in you to know that you had to sit out, couldn't play with my brother? Like, how did that shift how you handle business at that point, and what did that do to your mental?
Say for me, honestly, it was just another obstacle that I had to overcome.
Okay.
I wasn't a highly sought out recruit coming out of high school. That's
Okay.
how I ended up at the University of Pikeville. Didn't have many scholarship offers at all, but I knew I was talented. I knew
Mm-hmm.
I just lacked the opportunity. So I've always had an uphill, battle as far as when it comes to anything with me dealing with sports and uh, just certain things in life in general. So that was just it was another one of those things. I won't say it fully affected me. It just kind of was one of my wishes that I
Yeah.
was like, dang, I really would have loved to have suited up with my brother, but
Right.
I was like, maybe if things work out and I do what I need to do, I can make it to the NFL and be like
Right.
him. So maybe we get to play on the same team or we get to play against each other. So after that one was deferred, I was like, okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instantly, you're like, all right, I'm not here, but I ain't going to. I'm still at the place where I can make
Yep.
something happen.
Yep.
All right, so you leave there, or you there play you finish out college at
Yes.
South Carolina.
Yes.
So you go from there, and how do you get to the next? Where'd you go to Arizona?
No, so Arizona was the last team that I played for before I signed with the Falcons.
Okay, so where'd you go from South Carolina?
From South Carolina State, I've been a journeyman in the NFL. That's what they call guys who sign a lot of one-year deals and kind of bounce around.
Okay.
So
is that a free agent or that is a free agent?
Yep.
Okay.
So coming out of South Carolina State, my senior year, which was the 2015 season, going into my rookie year of the NFL in 2016, I didn't go draft. I did not get drafted. So I had every team to call, to sign an undrafted free agent deal, but I chose to go with the Oakland Raiders.
Okay.
So it was out of Oakland Raiders and the 49ers. Honestly, how it was, the Oakland Raiders offered me $3,500 as a signing bonus, and I think it was like $2,500 if they were to release or cut me. And then
wow.
Yeah.
Not what you expected when you think
Nope.
I'm going to the NFL.
Yep. And then the 49ers, they offered me, I think it was like $1,200 or something like that as a signing bonus.
Whoa.
And like nothing if they cut me. So I went with the
Where
most
the money
money.
was.
I was like, I mean, it's not a whole lot of money, but I might as well take that little, that little check that I can get.
And I can go show who I am.
Yes.
And I can get in there and show who I am.
Yes.
All
yes.
right.
So just quick, I started out with the Oakland Raiders. I played there 2 years in a training camp.
Okay.
And then I went on my third year to play with the New York Giants. My third and fourth year. My fifth year, I played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Went to the Super Bowl in 2020 and lost. And then 21 through 2023,
okay.
I played for the Arizona Cardinals. And then this past season was with the Falcons.
So you made it to the biggest day of NFL.
Yeah.
And then you leave that year from that team?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how is it knowing you're a free agent, not knowing what year after year may land like, knowing you have a family to feed and people are depending on you, knowing you are talented, knowing you're a go-getter, knowing you have been through some things that makes you really strong mentally, but they can't see that. They don't understand that. What does that do for you, not knowing like where the next step may be and knowing that you met that highest point? Like you've seen where most players have not seen before. But still in the back of your head, you're like, I don't know where I may be next year if I'll be with this team or not. What does that do for you?
I mean, in the beginning, it was extremely stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way around it. I mean, I had my wife, who I married before I came into the league at the time. And then we had our first child in 2017. So I was extremely stressed. I'm like, I'm on $1 and a dream right now, God. This is all I got.
That's all we got,
like, I graduated. I knew I was smart. I knew I would be able to get in the workforce because I always had a job, even throughout high school.
Okay.
And then when I was ineligible in college, I had a job then. I worked at Amazon.
What did you go to school for?
Physical activity management.
So it was still coaching that type of, in that field, the same field. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So now you've made it through, you've made it to the highest point and seen like Super Bowl status. Now you went and played. Now you're home. Now this is, back semi-home because you're next door to South Carolina. You're not far from family where you can like go back and see and give back to your community. What is it like playing for the Falcons and being close to home and being back home with the family and being able to have that support system? I'm going to go into who's your real support system. Shout out to Tiara.
Yes.
If y'all go back, you'll catch his wife, who did an amazing job.
Yeah.
But she holds the fort down. But I want to know, how's it being back home, really, really being connected to your support system?
Yeah, like it's a dream come true. That's something that I've always wanted. I asked God when I came in the league, like I was like, Lord, please don't let me go to California. I don't want to go anywhere far.
Yeah,
And that's right where I
all
went
the
to.
way there. He's
So,
like, all right, I'm gonna show you what you can do.
yep,
Because he takes us way out so he can see, so you can see. I got you more than you think I do
yeah,
when you're in those. But now you're back home and you have that full village around you, like helping you get through it.
yep. And and it's been a great blessing.
Yeah.
Like you said, my mom being next door to South Carolina, she's right down the road. Tierra's mom, literally right across town.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that we might have wanted to do, along with her cousin as well, who's very helpful in our family,
Good deal.
they come over the house, watch the kids. This was our first time doing Thanksgiving and Christmas home in about 10+ years.
Wow.
So, we had a lot of family over. We had a
Mm-hmm.
great time, and it was just being that element of family, not
Mm-hmm.
being alone. It was it has been a really beautiful thing. Like,
Yeah.
this is what you expect from this year as far as the connectivity of family and being
Mm-hmm.
around and being able to see and being able to come and support you. This is like that feeling that I've been searching for throughout my career that I've always wanted to have.
That's cool. I
Mhm,
love that because it's always a needed. All of us don't have family, but when you do have a support system
mhm,
and village that feels like a family, fortunately, you do have a family that's wrapped around you.
mhm,
It's a difference. When, especially you just said you're not home Thanksgiving holidays during the time most people are with family. How have you managed your mental health? What do you do to sort of decompress? Self care? Are you in therapy? Like,
mhm,
what is it that you do to make sure your mental health stays leveled out for you in the many ups and downs with family and the NFL?
mhm. Oh, well, I say first off, starting out, I didn't have a plan. I strictly relied on God, and
Okay.
that was it. I used to read the Bible. I mean, not used to, but I rely
Mm-hmm.
heavily on the Bible. I still read the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
to this day. But I didn't see a therapist until after my third year, my first time being released, when I was with the Raiders and ended up getting claimed to the New York Giants. So I went from two of the
One coast,
worst,
right, right.
tax bracketed, areas to be in, to have a family and to move around and not really have a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like, so it was really, really difficult and hard. And I started building that community of faith as
Mm-hmm.
far as with, the team chaplains. And that started out as my earliest part of therapy,
Gotcha.
was to, build a relationship with our team chaplains. Because, you do Bible study because
Mm.
you're not able to go to church and stuff. We play on Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did Bible studies on Wednesdays, and then we would do chapel service
Okay.
the night before the games. Or if we had a night game, we would
We'll
do
do it
it the
during the
morning
game.
of.
Okay.
So that was the early part of it. But early, as I said, after I got released from Oakland and got claimed by the Giants, I really went in a deep rut where I
Okay.
was like, man, I think I need to see somebody because I don't think that I'm handling this as well as I should be, and I think it's putting a toll on my body.
Mm-hmm. Explain your rut for the audience. Like, tell what were you feeling? What were you experiencing? How did you know
Mhm,
this is too much for me to handle? So explain that for other young men,
mhm,
because right now our young men don't see mental health as something they need to take care of, and to hear it from a young brother, you know what
mhm,
I'm saying, a young man per se, because this can touch anybody, not just African American men, but
mhm.
African American men and people of color do not seek help.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
go either to God or they go into a deep rut, what you say, or into a dark place or a deep depression is what it's
Mhm.
considered. So, what did that feel like? What was that like for you?
So for me personally, mine was depression and a bunch of anxiety and
Hmm.
suicide thoughts.
Okay.
Um, it wasn't a fun time because you think getting to the NFL is just like going to be everything's going to be glorious. You're
Hmm.
going to run into a substantial amount of money where you'll be able to take care of people and provide like you always wanted to or dreamt of.
Right.
And then I had a shocking reality check of this isn't it. And you get the burden of the world, right?
Right.
Everybody think that they can depend on you, and they think you're God. They
Hmm.
don't pray to God no more. They come and ask you,
Yeah.
and
Because
not
you've made it.
yeah, because
So what they
supposedly
think.
I've
Right.
made it, right?
Right.
They see you sign a 3-year, $1.2 million contract,
Oh,
and they
he's
think,
oh
oh man,
oh
he's loaded.
yeah,
Oh,
he's
he
a
got it.
millionaire.
He's a millionaire. Like no, like you know
What do
how
you really see out of that
right
1.2 million?
out of
Like,
that 1.2, I probably saw $400,000
Wow.
cash.
Wow.
And now we haven't even talked about rent. We haven't talked about car
That's
payments,
to live
clothes.
off of. That's to live off.
That
Family,
was $400,000 to live off
medical
of.
expenses, all of that.
Everything. And then you don't get paid from if you don't make the playoffs, you don't get paid from January 1st until, the start of the season of next year. So that's from January all the way to September. You don't see a real check.
Speak that again.
You know what I
some
mean?
people don't understand like the really woes of being a professional player.
Yeah.
You get paid during that season and you got to make sure you manage your money so that it rolls over into the next season. But then if you don't know if a contract is coming, you've got to figure out a plan to figure that out prior to getting to another contract signed.
Right.
That's a lot of roller coaster for you to deal with and to have to perform on a field because this is my job. How do you handle that? What do you do to like, I won't say compartmentalize because we're not supposed to do that because that's how you get into a rut.
Yep.
And you say you're in a deep depression and your anxiety. What are you doing now to make sure you don't get in that rut? Because you still have to manage that. Even now, how many years are you now signed with Falcons?
Just one. I was just on a 1-year deal, so I'm back at being a free agent again. April 14th. Yep, I'm back on the market again.
So, what is that roller coaster like for you?
I see it as a great blessing at this point in now time in my life. Because I get to. A lot of people don't get to.
Yeah.
The max amount of time that you play in the NFL is 3 years. I'm in year 9, and I was undrafted. So there's a lot of first rounders, second rounders, and so forth on that have been drafted, and they're no longer playing, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
So I literally look at it as I'm still here.
And I have a purpose.
And I have a purpose, and and I'm going to ride this wave until there's no more waves.
Right.
God has been great to me. Right now, what I do, I started it this year, like legitimately. I go to a therapist. Her name is Dr. Chinwe Williams.
Okay.
She's out in the northern part of Atlanta. And she's been a great blessing to me in my life. I actually met her through my pastor. We go to Eagles Nest. And I think it's, right now it's at Centennial High School in the northern part of Atlanta. And he had her to come and do a speech during a service one Sunday. And he introduced her to me. And I was like, you know what? I think, my wife had started going to therapy, I want to say like the year prior. And I was like, man, I think this is something that I think I need to try, because we don't know where we are on our timeline as far as when it comes to our career, especially the business that I'm in.
Right.
So how am I going to process that in a healthy manner? And so I wanted to make sure I was giving myself an advantage to be able to process that time when it comes. And so that's where I started to go and, started tearing down a lot of those, previous, situations that might have happened to me when I was younger and, and leading up to the current time. So she's been a great blessing to me in my life.
I love that. And you recognize that it was stuff that happened to you at a younger age that was affecting you as in your manhood, adulthood.
Yes.
Have there been any, like, incidents that have happened to you and your family that really, really challenged you in this process? Can you think of one thing? I heard you say you're in therapy now and your wife started a year ago and now that you're doing that. Can you think of one thing that happened maybe along that path line from childhood to adulthood that sort of impacted you and your family?
Oh, for sure. Well, the most, one of the things that really come to my mind that was like a really big rock that was in the road that I did not see was I burned my feet. I was in a grease fire my second year in Arizona with the Cardinals.
While you were playing?
Just before the season started. So it was during training camp. I had played in a preseason game.
Yeah.
And I had got home. I want to say it was the next day, the next morning. And getting ready to fry shrimp. Same thing we had done for, so many years.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it was a brand new pot, but for whatever reason, a small fire started to simmer in the bottom of the pot.
Okay.
Not really thinking too much of it. So I grabbed a glass top, which was for the pot, and I put it over the top. But then I thought about it, I was like, oh, glass and, fire don't mix, it can explode.
Right.
So I took it off, and for whatever reason, when I took it off, it whoosh, went up in flames.
The oxygen hit it.
Yeah, so at that point, we all panicked, kids crying. My wife like, oh, man, like, what do we need to do? We need to find a fire extinguisher. And I was like, yeah, let's, look for one, real quick. But as we were, looking, everything happened in about 15 to 20 seconds. Couldn't find it. So I was just like, man, let me get some mitts and get it out the door and let it burn outside. Arizona is extremely hot. So we renting a house. Right. So I'm like, man, this house can't catch on fire. I can't mess this house up. So I get just to the door. And as I get to the door, the grease in the bottom of the pot sloshes over and it catches my face.
Of course, I jump drop it.
My shorts were on fire. So I was patting out my shorts.
You're on fire at this point.
Yeah, I'm on fire. So I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of screaming and panicking a little bit, but I'm putting out the fire. But I'm not realizing that I don't have on any shoes. I don't have on any socks. I had on some like rubber Birkenstock sandals.
Right.
And so
it goes straight through this.
It goes straight through. But the blessing of everything, and I think that's what I was meant to go through that situation, because if you know anything about fires, grease fires don't just go out.
Yeah.
And especially the way that the fire was going on in the pot.
Right.
It don't just vanish.
Yeah.
You can't put water on it and anything like that. But for whatever reason, I vividly remember when I dropped the pot, I felt a gush of wind just hit me out of nowhere. And I think it was God, like, cooling me off. He was like, nah, you're going to feel this, but I need you to go through this for whatever reason. And in the beginning part, of course, I didn't understand
that at all.
I didn't think about none of that. I was just like, man,
why now, Lord?
Why now?
Like,
out of everything.
Yeah.
I had just been on Good Morning America about winning the starting foot. Not Good Morning America. Excuse me. Good Morning Football.
Gotcha.
So it's a segment that they have on ESPN.
Right.
I was just on that. They were talking about me, undrafted.
Highlights.
You know, about to have his
highlight of your
first
life.
starting. About to start the season out, starting and earned the spot and everything. It was beautiful. Something I've been waiting on for so many years.
What you always looked for as a kid, right?
Right. And then that was all gone like that. All gone. So like I was like, oh man, my life is over. Like I'm ignorant to burns. I had never had anything like that. And I had very deep 2nd degree and partial 3rd degree burns in my feet and in my quads. So I thought it was gonna be something like, 2 days, put a little,
ointment on.
I'm
do
good.
What grandma do, wrap it up real quick.
Nope.
You're out.
I went to the hospital, to the burn center. They said, yeah, you got 2nd, 3rd degree burns. We got to peel that skin off. And I was like, what do you mean? The skin is fine. No. That's going to fall, just flap off. They gave me some pain meds.
Yeah.
Literally, my skin just started falling off my feet. Worst pain I ever felt in my life. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. And so we're different as a family.
Sounds like you think.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all have been through some things.
Yes.
And to still be here smiling and enjoying the ride and understanding that this is a part of our journey and we wouldn't be here if we didn't get through these things. And I hear you talk about your chaplain that has been there. I know your wife is your rock. And I know y'all to have had her prior to all of this happening and to have her still through all of this. Now 3 children, raising a family together. Who outside of her, outside of your chaplain, was there a coach, some teammates or individuals that you really leaned on to get through those moments, like your best friend from college or your brother or your mother? Or is that, who else other than, I know wife got you. I didn't know, like that. We know that's like secure, but who's your other village that you lean on to make sure that you're okay? Or to make sure that they're checking on you?
Right. So, I mean, I have a number of people, but my wife is literally my best friend.
Love that.
And I'm not just saying it just to say it, but my wife is legitimately my best friend. We joke with each other, and that's one of the things I was getting at. Like, so after burning my feet, I couldn't like really walk or I couldn't get to the bathroom or anything. My wife was pregnant at the time and she had to carry me to the bathroom. She had to carry me to the shower. I couldn't wash my feet.
She works out a lot. Her muscles are big. So this is where she started that, growing the strength from.
For sure. That was up the alley of it.
Now,
for sure.
where did you guys meet? In college?
Yes.
Okay.
South Carolina State.
And she's from Atlanta. All right. Georgia Peach.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
And y'all have been together for?
Since we've been together since 2013. We've been married for 8 years, coming up on 9 in May.
Good deal. Way to go. All right, so wife is best friend.
Yes.
We have now made it through a very, very traumatic experience, which now has pushed you back. So you had to sit out that season?
Nope.
Come on, tell me about the resilience.
I was blessed.
Mr. Hamilton, yes.
And like I said, my wife, she takes care of me.
Yeah.
She gets the job done. And so I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep.
Wow.
But she would make sure I get something like, nah, Antonio, like you got to drink. I was 210 pounds at that time before I burnt my feet. By the time I was clear after week 4, I had dropped down to 175 pounds. I was super duper skinny. I had lost a
Wow.
lot of weight.
Wow.
But if it wasn't for Tierra, I probably would have lost even more because
Mm-hmm.
I was just depressed. I was like, God, why me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why now? You know,
Mm-hmm. What we all do, yeah.
and I rely heavily on my faith, and we joke a lot. So the first time, the first thing, before the real pain kicked in, like that's how we do as a
Yeah,
family. Like
that's how
we
you
talk a
cope.
lot of
Yeah.
junk to each other, so
Mm-hmm.
we cope. And
Mm-hmm.
so you say not to compartmentalize, but that's how we grieve. We joke. So I was Fire Marshal Bill and
Come
all kind of
on.
stuff like that. So
I
it,
know she
it
had the
made
good
things
ones
better.
too. I know it. That's
Yes,
the best.
and
But
and
it makes you not sit in it
mhm,
and sit in. We know this is bad. We know
yes,
this is where we are. Are we gonna sit here and mope about it? I'm pregnant. I got,
hmm
we have the thing. We got a family. We still got people to feed, including ourselves. So
hmm
we don't have time to sit around. And so that helped you not be able to sit in that, having that person that was steady pushing you and making sure, like almost force feeding you to make sure that you at least stayed healthy enough. All right, wife brings us out. We are
hmm
now ready to get back in it. But now you probably have a little, almost like hesitancy on what's going to happen next.
for sure.
How do you push through that?
A lot of faith. And
I
even during the
love
early
that.
part of that, one of my best friends, James Settles, he sent me a song by Maverick City
Mm-hmm.
called "A Million Little Miracles." So it was during that time in the rut. So like I was saying, my wife, I gotta always give her the credit first
I
because
love it. I love
that's just what it
it.
was.
Yeah.
But James, and then a number of my other friends too, is
Mm-hmm.
not to disregard it, but he sent me this song called "Million Little Miracles," and I set that as my alarm. So every morning I wake up and anything else, I would hear that song, and just to have a sense of gratitude of
Right.
like, even though I'm going through something, I got a million little miracles to be thankful for.
That's
And
amazing.
so that song like really helped me to get through it. And even when I came back, like that was one of the like most hardest times of my life because
Mm-hmm.
I still wasn't myself. Like I fought to get back, but I was just a shell of myself during that time. My feet were still going to sleep because I had burned the nerve endings in my feet. So I would be playing out there on the field and I can't feel my feet. So just like how you can sit down like in a
And go numb.
and
Yeah.
it go numb, that's exactly what I would feel. And if I wasn't moving around or doing anything to elevate my feet, it would just be like that itchy, numbing feeling out there on the field. So I was out there playing with that, but God still showed me like, even though you're not fully confident in yourself, like trust in me.
Yeah.
I'll give you exactly what it is that you need. And that was my 7th year. So the seventh
Crazy.
game, by the time I came back and to get back in the starting lineup in the role, as they
Mm-hmm.
saw that I was fit and conditioned and ready to go, I caught an interception. That was the 7th game of the year. My 7th year, the 77th play,
Do
the
you have
seventh
like
play of
seven
my game.
tags? Is that like in your, like, now that's your social security number? What are you like? What is
Man,
that? The codes to it's not the codes to his home and house or
yeah,
none of
nah,
that. But listen, but seven means so much
yep,
in
the
spirituality.
number of completion.
It's the number of completion,
Mm-hmm,
but it's the completion of this is I've completed you to know that it ain't you, it's us.
mm-hmm,
And I can't do it without you, and you
yep,
can't do it without me or wifey
yep,
on the other side of that. But having that and having that resilience and knowing that you have something greater than you that's pushing you, how does that make you go harder in things? Like, how do we tell our young people that you're going to go through many moments of stress and many moments of trauma, but those are many miracles to make us know that we're still alive and we still have a chance. What can you tell our young people out here that really like gives them some insight of keep going? Like our young people want to give up as soon as they see
mm-hmm,
adversity, as soon as
yep,
they see something wrong. How do we get them to push through that? Like we come from we cut from, I won't say we're from a different cloth, like cut from a different cloth. We're all
mm-hmm,
from the same culture, but our young people are so quick to give up right now.
mm-hmm,
How do we get to them telling your story, letting them know that it's not what it looks like or
mm-hmm,
what don't believe the hype about NFL. There's
mm-hmm.
some really trying times. What can you
Mm-hmm.
tell our young people?
Uh, I mean, obviously, the first thing is never give up. If it's something that you really want to do, you're gonna go through some hard times,
Yeah.
and to go through and accept, every emotion that comes with it.
Speak on it.
Because we're taught to be macho man, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
game of football. Like you don't cry, you know, you
You
put it all
playing with
out on the
numb
line,
feet. Like you
man.
gotta be out
Like,
there regardless.
yeah, and like there's going to be times of adversity, but you just got to remember who you are and put your trust and your faith in God, and that's what I did for me.
Yeah.
So that helped me more than anything, and to be honest with yourself, like
Mm-hmm.
allow whatever that you're going through to reveal that part of you, and whether it's a weak area in your life or where you're very vulnerable.
Okay.
When you're at your most vulnerable stage, feel that, understand it, appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
and find ways, to get back to your strength and to see, because, everybody say, oh, I believe in God until you're tested.
Come on.
When you're at your most vulnerable stage now, all that stuff that you were talking about,
Yeah.
can you put it to practice? Can you trust and believe in him? Just like how I tell everybody else, when you face adverse times, now it's your turn to deal with it.
Yeah.
So how you going to handle it? So for whatever that situation may be, accept it, go through it. If it hurt, it hurt.
Feel it.
If it makes you sad and you want to cry, cry. It's good for you. Release it.
Yeah.
But don't hold on to it, and remember it. It's good to remember. It's like, you get over a hump and they tell you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look
forget
back.
that hump.
Don't look back. Nah, sometimes you need to look back just so you can get motivated to continue to go forward.
I made
and
it
to
over
remember
that
just
hump.
where you were at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I try to do. I try not to reflect too much on the past, but I definitely look back every now and then. Like, this is my 9th year. One of the things that I do to keep myself going forward, to keep myself motivated outside from my family, I watch the combine and I watch the draft every single year. I always have, from the time I was coming out until the time that I probably do it even after I retire.
What does that do for you?
It makes me develop that hunger, that underdog mentality that I always had. And it's like, they're trying to replace you.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying you're too old.
Mm-hmm.
Show them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, show them. I ain't saying, prove them wrong. No. Show yourself right.
Show who you are.
Show them who you are.
That's
it. And that's what I do.
I
Like,
love that.
yeah.
He didn't know he was coming here to preach to y'all, but he just preached to y'all and gave some really good tools and tips. All right, Antonio, we are now at a point where we're happy in life. Things are going great. What are some things that you really attribute? You say you started therapy. How's therapy going? What has that done for you? What made you finally decide that this is what I need in my toolbox to be able to? Because every year you realize a new layer of yourself that needs some more support, or a new layer of yourself that you see, oh, I didn't know I had that much strength in me to get through that. Every year you see something different. What made you shift and say, I need to start? Because your wife was in it a year before you, and I'm sure she, told you how therapy was going, or, maybe invited you to a session or something. What made you finally say, I need my own therapist, and not go to the therapist where your wife was going?
So it was a number of things, but one of the things was I wanted to maximize being as present of a father and as a husband as I could possibly be. And I found myself like running out of energy. Like, of course, you're getting old.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people are depending on you, and that's a lot of weight to carry. And my wife understands it, but sometimes she doesn't fully understand everything just because she's not walking in it.
Right. Right.
And so what Dr. Williams has helped me to do is to compartmentalize how to deal with one thing at a time and not just take on the entire world at one time. So what is important? What is a long-term thing? What is something more immediate that you need to address? And that helped me to be able to develop my thoughts as I needed to, and also with my breathing, essentially we're warriors, how we play football. We're not, men in the army or anything like that, but we go to war. So you have to develop breathing tactics. And that's some of the things that she has helped me with, like showing me different, breathing patterns to do in order to control my thoughts and to slow everything down. You naturally develop it, but she gives me a lot of the educational side of it to make it make sense.
To know why I'm doing it this way.
Right. Oh, you've already been doing it, but this is what that is. Oh, okay. So now I can apply that principle even more. Somebody beat the horn at me the wrong time in traffic when I'm in a rush to get home.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, right. You better be glad I'm in therapy now, bro. Right? Like
is it worth it?
I need to get home to them. I need to get home to them.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those type situations where she has helped me to address one thing at a time so that I can, maximize every situation that I'm in. And number two, just even give me more encouragement to speak. I don't like to do a lot of speaking engagements unless I'm asked, but I don't really necessarily care to be in the limelight of things. Like, I've been in the league for 9 years. There's so many people that don't know that I even play football. And I like it that way just because I think I'm normal.
You keep yourself humble.
I've always been extremely humble. And I like it that way just because I don't like to be like all flashy. I like nice things and all of that. Don't get me wrong. I dress nice, look nice.
Yeah, of course. You know, I'm sure the wife keeps you looking nice. Right.
So, but I just don't. I don't really care for all the limelight. And even when it comes to like stuff that I do for my foundation, my wife and my mom, help me to understand like, no, it's not about, you doing it for, the likes of the world. Cause I won't even call the news station to come in and like to report it or anything. But it's to get it out there so that you can help more people because I do it all free. I cover everything myself.
Yeah.
And so she was like, if you want to help more and more people, you got to get more people to join in. How you can get more people to join in? Through the local news station. Yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And so it's just stuff like that.
Tell us about your foundation. You mentioned it. What's the name of it? What's the purpose of it? Where can people find it? And then I'm going to come back and ask you about how does the NFL support you guys through your mental health? But first, tell us about your foundation.
So my foundation is Alite Foundation, spelled ALITE. Okay, so ALITE. My mom actually came up with the name.
Okay.
It stands for At Least I Try Every Day.
Right.
So the meaning and the purpose of it is to help those are underprivileged. Okay. Come from very small town, rural areas.
Like you came from.
Yeah, like me, and I came up in a single parent home as well. So we try to provide resources and really opportunities and to be able to experience life outside of these small town areas because most people don't make it out. And they don't. I know people that I went to school with who have never been to Atlanta. The farthest that they've been to the borderline or crossing the bridge is to Augusta, Georgia.
Wow.
And it's just
the nature of life.
The nature of life, that, and part of it is that small town mentality. You grow up not having a whole lot. What you're around, you're comfortable and familiar with, so you don't necessarily care. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with staying in your hometown. Nothing at all.
Nothing.
But it's good to see the world, and it's good to experience life outside of that. So
to expand your horizon, for sure.
100%.
Especially our young people, especially them. They see so much on social media, on TV, on the internet. They are exposed to so much. And to not be able to touch what I'm exposed to is something different. So it almost makes them feel like I'm not worthy of that or I'll never get to that. But you're making an opportunity with your foundation to take them and let them touch Atlanta or let them touch something different, see something different so that they can aspire for something. Like you said, there's nothing wrong to stay at home in your community, but some people need to come out of that community because of the talents that they have and what they can do and, give back to the world because of what they like, take it out of their community like you did into another platform. So Alite, tell us how to reach you. How do people get in contact with you to help you so that we can make Alite go bigger? How do we reach out or how do they find you?
So my social media handle is Broham1993. So that's BROHAM 1993. And in my bio, I have my Alite Foundation, and I also have a website. It's AntonioHamiltonInc.com, and we try our best to update that as much as we possibly can.
Okay.
And so whenever we're getting ready to host events, I post a lot of the times on my social media handles, and as well as my wife, she shares it on her profiles and everybody else.
Okay.
And then we kind of use that more so as the word of mouth. And when we do events, we post as much as we can, and then even we'll venture out and print out, the free camps and stuff like that we do.
Perfect.
And we pass out flyers at schools.
Football camps?
Yeah. So football camps, my wife, she does the cheerleading and the dance portion of the camps.
Perfect.
And that has been going great for us.
Okay.
And I bring down a number of NFL players every year. And she gets a lot of her former dance and cheer teammates, and they come down and they teach a class, and they get to do a field show at the end of the camp.
Where is this held?
In Johnston, South Carolina, at my high school, Strom Thurmond High School.
Perfect. That is amazing. That I love when we realize it's almost a must that we got to give back. You know, if God has given us all of these talents and given us the ability to be in a position to where we can have an opportunity, you say you fund everything, you're in a great position to be able to do that. How does the NFL or the NFLPA support you through all of this? Like, I hear that your family is there, but you've played on several teams and you work for them. Like most workplaces have um, a health plan system. Do they do a lot around mental health? Do they make you guys do yoga? Do they make y'all stress? Like, what is it? How does the NFL support its players around mental health?
Yeah, so the every team is different.
Okay.
Right. But the Falcons, I can speak of what the Falcons did and then what the Cardinals did. The Cardinals and the Falcons both, they had hired a therapist
Okay.
that comes full time, and they're there either two. It just really depends on their schedule. They're there 2 to 3 days out of the week, or sometimes they're there every day of the week. It just depends on their schedule, and they encourage us to go there, to get whatever help, or even just to show your face, because most people they're uncomfortable with it, right?
Right.
Because, you're ignorant to it, you don't know it. It just kind of seems. I guess that was a small time thing or the macho man mentality. Yeah. I'm like, man, that's TV stuff. We don't go to no therapy.
Right.
But most people need it. And I tried it and it's legit. And I would definitely encourage, everybody to use, those. And as well, the NFLPA and the NFL, they have, different resources that they provide for you to outsource. So as I go to my therapist, they will pay for it for you to go to see a therapist. Yep, and as well as your family. So
that's really good.
Yep. So anything,
because it's a lot of stress on the family too. Like we spoke of you and we speak of your support system, but it's a lot of stress on your mom. You're out there on the field, your wife, your children. Like it seems like everybody is happy, but most of them are probably on pins and needles every time you get on the field, like praying that you don't get hurt, praying that you stay mentally stable. It's a lot on them. It's a lot of stigma around mental health, and we don't really talk about it in our community and in our culture. How do we normalize that conversation? How do we make sure that we're not just on podcasts like Silence is Shame, but also using podcasts like Silence is Shame to normalize the conversation? How do we do that in our community, or how do you think we can do that in our community?
I think just more, positive talks.
Yeah.
Within our own circles and community, and I believe that'll give it, the fire that it needs to spread.
Right.
Because as you say, like we don't talk about going to therapists, and a lot of us need it because there's a lot of things that go on that we don't fully understand. And as you spoke of how the family goes through stress and stuff like that as well, but also that therapists, those therapy sessions, they help them to understand exactly what it is that I'm going through, so that they have more knowledge of how they need to proceed and go throughout doing things, so they don't put even more stress on me or my wife or my kids or whatever the situation may be, just so that they know there are other avenues and there's other ways to get around things, to do stuff, and that you don't just have to run to him for everything, because most stuff is very minuscule, but they blow up and become big things, and it's like, wow.
Because we've let them pile up.
Yep, and just to be more truthful and honest with each other, like that's a big thing.
You spoke of sometimes your family don't really understand what you're going through. And many times, many of us don't understand what the average person is going through. We see what's on the outside. We see them smiling and all of that. It's because we don't have the language to really explain how we're feeling. Now going through therapy and having these different avenues of making sure you have the language, the skills, and the tools to be able to properly communicate with those around you, so that they don't know that I'm not just not responding. I'm in a heavy moment right now. Like certain times of the year, certain times of the season are more heavy, like the beginning and the end, I would say. It's your stressful times. You're trying to make sure you get in playtime. In the end, you're trying to make sure we get into the next level so that we can get to the Super Bowl. That sweet spot is sort of, those regular seasonal games, which is still stressful in the most part. But your therapist and other individuals have now given you tools. Are you teaching that to your children? Is that something you're helping them to navigate? And if so, how are you? They get stressed out, and we put a lot of pressures on them. I'm sure your mom put a lot of pressure, or maybe not. We think they're putting the pressure on us because we want to perform for them.
Right.
What is it that you do for your children now to make sure they understand, like, we can be level-headed? You have boys and girls?
Yes. I have two girls and a little boy.
Okay.
7, 4, and 2.
Oh, you in it?
I'm in it.
y'all in it.
I mean, yeah, we nose deep.
We know, right? We ain't drowning. We ain't breathing though.
we trying to come up for air every now and then.
How are you teaching them at that age, like to acknowledge their emotions? I know the movie Inside Out came out, and we try to utilize like characters like that to be able to help them do that. What are you doing with them now to sort of give them those tools and skills so that they don't get in the rut that we sort of see ourselves getting in?
Yes, and just like you said, Inside Out too. And there's another movie that Adam Sandler has out. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a great movie. It's phenomenal. But through my therapy, what I've learned as far as talking about being present and being in a moment, meeting them at their level and where they're at, because they're gonna have a lot of questions. Yeah, you're tired. Yeah, you go to work and all of that stuff, but they still need to be heard.
Yeah,
because you go to work for me this year, it was from 5:30 to about 6 o'clock by the time I get home from my commute. Yeah. But even prior to that, it's just about being present and allowing them to speak their piece. Like, not in a place of disrespect, obviously, or defiance to any of rules, but it's just meeting them where they're at and allowing them to express, like, even if they're talking about absolutely nothing. Yeah. It's just hearing them and, like, just sitting down with them, anything that they want to do, like, to be intentional in those moments and just to be there with them. Because you think that you have a lot of time with them, but that time is really flying by. Like my oldest, I said, she's 7, but it just seems like yesterday she was just a baby. So it's like, man, time is really moving by fast. And so being present and being intentional is very key from even within myself. Is something that I learned about myself because, as I said, I grew up in a single parent home. I didn't have a father. Yeah. And I know that's one of the things that I yearned for. Like I really, really, really wanted a father figure in my life. I had my grandfather, but he just wasn't my dad. Right. And so how I do as far as being a parent is making sure that I'm there no matter what. I don't care, even when they get sick, they have to go to the ER in the middle of the night or something like that. It's not like, Tierra, take the kids, I got to go to work. No, we're in there together. In the car, I'm always there. I'm extremely present in absolutely everything that they do. And I try to support them in everything that I can, as much as I possibly can. Right.
Because, you have a job that you have to do your way. Yeah. They understand that. This is good. Yeah. This has been very, very rewarding. I think there's been many nuggets here just talking about your resilience in life and how you keep going. You're the underdog, but you refuse to be pushed over by the new dogs. Yep. Like that's something that most of us don't get in life. And to have that at the young age of
32,
that's a blessing. That's a huge blessing. Thank you. We really appreciate your conversation today. Tell us one more time, what's the last thing that you would like to leave with our audience about being present with yourself, but also acknowledging when you need help? Is there any last words you will like to leave?
Sure. Take time for yourself. And like, no matter whatever it is that you're doing, take time to just breathe, to just chill. A lot of guys, we revert to playing the video games. That's good therapy. Yeah. Do what makes you happy. Do something at least 2 days out of the week to free your mind from whatever it is that you're doing, because you'll be a better person. And then you can actually go after the things that you want. And last but definitely not least is, put your trust and your faith in God. That's the biggest thing that I can give you. We don't know where we're at on this timeline of life. We don't know what he has in store for us. So enjoy the moment, and give God the glory and praise, for everything that he gives you.
I appreciate that, man. This was good. Tell them one more time how to reach you on your social media handles.
Yeah, so I can be reached mostly on Instagram. So you can reach me at Broham1993. That's BROHAM 1993. And then even on Facebook, it's my name, Antonio Hamilton, and I have senior at the end. So yeah, reach me there.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. And remember, do what Antonio did. Take time, free your feels, save a life, but remember to silence the shame. Thank y'all again. We really appreciate it. Remember to text silence to 7070 to donate, to make sure that we continue this podcast, but also continue programming to support our young children, our young adults, and our families around mental health. We want to appreciate and thank the NFLPA for sponsoring this podcast session. We really, really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video, on all videos that we have done in podcasts, and go tell a friend about Silence of Shame. Thank you very much, and